What's up, guys? Four-wheeler doctor back again. Long time no see. I know y'all been missing me. Hadn't missed my funny t-shirts though, have you? Got one on today. Guys, I've been doing all kind of stuff here lately and been a little too busy to get over here in the shop. So I'm finally getting back to working a little bit over here. Got a real clean 350 Honda Rancher we're working on today. Gonna throw a starter in this thing. I know that sounds pretty simple, but a lot of my Honda Rancher videos have done real good, so that usually means there's a lot of them out there and a lot of folks having problems with them. Well, I won't say a lot of folks, but people working on them themselves at least. So I'm gonna do a quick video here of a starter replacement. It's very similar to the 420 Rancher, which I've done a video on it before, but I've never done one on these on the 350. So kind of give you a rundown of what to look for, what tools you need, screwdriver, 10mm socket. You can use the impact or ratchet if you've got that. Voltmeter helps to diagnose the trouble. I've already diagnosed it and actually already ordered a part and it came in today. So we'll go ahead and get started on this thing, but I'm going to set the camera up and might do this with a little bit different than I normally do. Instead of cutting out every little part once I do something, this is going to go very quick. So I'll just keep the video running and keep y'all going with some live action here. Hopefully I don't tear up anything and have to start over again, but sometimes that does happen. Let me get this thing set up on the tripod and I'll cut the camera back on in a sec. Alright guys, here we go. I'm going to probably keep the camera up here as much as I can. I will pull it down here when I see you might need something, a close-up view of it. So come up with, pull your seat off. And we're going to diagnose this problem first. Switch the key on. It's in neutral. Your red switch is switched on the dash, or on the handlebars. That really doesn't matter. Actually, if you got it switched off, it'll still try to turn over. But when you hit this start button, all you get is a click. And sometimes that's the starter. Sometimes that's the solenoid. Sometimes that's a wire loose. So to check all those, start off with just wiggle both of your wires. That one's actually a little bit loose, but I don't think that's our problem. I will tighten it up just a hair. As you can see, this thing does have a new battery in it. Still nothing. So the way to check this is to take your voltmeter, put it on DC voltage, and the starter solenoid, which is right here under this part of the rack. Let me move this camera down. This is one of the times when you're going to have to get down here a little closer. Starter solenoid right here. Two wires running into it. Two big metal terminals. And what you want to do is check for voltage on both of those terminals. So hopefully you can see my voltmeter there. So voltage across the battery. We got 12.5. I got something on my screen of my voltmeter, so you're going to have to bear with me there. Keep one side of this voltmeter grounded to the ground, the black side of your battery. Check one prong of that starter solenoid. You get 12.6. Check the other prong. You should get nothing without the start button engaged. And when you engage that start button, it should jump up to the same battery voltage. There you go. And some people say with these, when these solenoids go bad, they won't click, and that is the case, but I've also seen some that still click and are still bad. So it doesn't hurt to check that. Notice a lot of the kits that come on eBay where you can buy these starters, they already come with the solenoid and the starter. So some people just want to go ahead and replace them all at the same time. But in this case, we're going to leave the solenoid on this one. It seems to be good, and we're going to jump on this starter. So to start off with, to get this starter out, grab the camera back down here, and the couple bolts you need to take off is at the bottom of the air box light. There is a 10mm headed nut right there and a little bracket that runs to the bottom of the air box. You'll need to remove that. You'll need to remove or loosen this clamp here on your factory snorkel. It doesn't hurt to take this plastic rivet out so your snorkel can move forward. Also, you want to remove the or not remove, loosen the clamp on the carburetor boot here. And last but not least, on the other side, there is a hose that runs in, crankcase vent hose, and it has a little snap here that you squeeze together. Squeeze that together and slide it off. There's the hose right there. It runs from the bottom of the air box up to the crankcase. So let me get those loosened up real quick. And like I said, I'm going to try to keep the camera running and try to do this fairly quick here. So I get those loosened, and then what you want to do, here is my Phillips screwdriver. Once you get those clamps loosened up, you can slide that air box backwards, and it will allow the boots and everything to slide off. Get this nut off of here, and naturally the ratchet's going to be turning in the wrong direction. There we go. To get this bottom clamp off with this nut, once you remove the nut, just take and pull that little bracket. I said clamp, but this is actually a bracket. Pull that bracket over that little stud, and that will allow the air box, your hose is off. Let me pull that plastic rivet out. And cut the four-wheeler off too. Plastic rivet out, slide your air box back. This one's sliding out pretty easy. Just keep wiggling this snorkel forward and sliding back on the air box at the same time will allow you enough room to just pick this air box straight up out of here. Just like that. There's a closer look at your hose and your little bracket. So set that to the side. And then now that opens up the starter. I'll have to get you a light so you can see this, but here we go. So what you got to remove now is there's a 10mm bolt. There's two 10mm bolts actually on the bottom of this starter down here that you have to remove both of those, and then remove this 10mm nut that holds the power wire to the starter. We snatch those off there real quick. And when you remove the two bolts off of the bottom of the starter, there's also a bracket. It's actually that bracket that your stud was on for the bottom of the air box. I'll show that to you as well. There you go. There's your little bracket, your two bolts that come off. You can see the stud right there. So set that to the side. Get that power wire off of there. Alright, there it is. The nut there. And then you're left with the starter, nothing holding it in now. So what you want to do is take a fairly good sized screwdriver like this, flat screwdriver, and take and stick it. Find the spot up here in the front. It's a little bit tight in here. Actually, it may be clearer from the other side. Let me jump to the other side. I think it's clearer from that side for you to see. I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'm about to do it. I'm about to cut the camera off. I'll cut it back on when I get to the other side. Alright, back over here on the other side of the ATV, the right side. And what you're wanting to look for is the starter in here. I'm going to have to shine the light in there. There's your starter. And there's a crack right here where it slides into the block, the crankcase. You can stick that screwdriver in there. There's actually a bolt there. You can stick that screwdriver right on the head of that bolt and pry that starter out, and it'll pop right out. It's actually not really held in there by anything other than those two bolts, but once you pop that out, there is a washer that kind of has some pressure on it, and that's why it's a little tougher to get out. But you pry it just a little with that screwdriver, and it'll pop right out of there. So let me see if I can get this camera set back up, and we will see if I can pop it right out just like I said it's going to work. So stick it in there. It helps if you wiggle the back side of your starter just a little bit. Just like that. Starter comes out. See the O-ring on it? Probably just brushes worn out on this one if I had to guess. This bike looks real good, but it gets used a whole lot and gets started a whole bunch. So it's more than likely the brushes are worn out in it. And I did buy a replacement starter for it, but they also make rebuild kits for them, which are fairly easy to put in. They go in the back side here, just 2 sets of brushes, or 2 brushes. And Honda actually makes one of those as well, but I've gotten some aftermarket ones in the past and used those and had good luck with them. But in this case, I wanted to go ahead and make this in one and done. So we're going to stick this new starter in here. It comes with a nut, so I'm going to pull that nut off for the power wire. It doesn't hurt to put a little bit of oil on that O-ring when you go to slide it in. One other thing, let me see if I can get this dowel out. Sometimes these starters have a dowel in them on one of those legs. I don't have a pair of pliers right here close by. Let me pop it out. Cut the camera back on in a sec. All right, there we go. Can't believe I couldn't pull that out over my hand. It was just barely slid in there. So then what you want to do is take that dowel, slide it back into this leg. You can see that leg's got a little bit bigger hole in it than this one. So that's the one the dowel goes into. Slide this in, make sure your bolt holes are lined up. Wiggle your starter around. Try not to have that dowel hung like I just had it hung. There you go. It pretty much flushes right up. It's almost flush up to the crankcase on the front side, and these 2 ears off the back are almost flushed up as well. So now it's just a matter of sticking it back together. So put your 2 bolts back in the bottom. Two bolts in the bottom, your 1 nut on your power wire. And just to make this a little bit simpler, I'm probably going to try this thing and make sure it's going to crank before I put everything else back together. I guess just to keep from boring you anymore if you're actually still tuned in. And you really don't have to worry about touching anything with that end of that power cable, like arcing like you would on a car or whatever, because that cable actually doesn't have power on it. As long as your solenoid's working, that cable doesn't have power. And we checked the poles on the solenoid earlier. So, all right, so here we go. Moment of truth. Will it work? Will it not work? Will it catch on fire? I hope not. Just like that. It works. So that's what it was. This is a pretty simple system. So really didn't doubt that was what it was, but that's what we got. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I don't think I'm going to show the assembly because it's pretty straightforward. Stick your air box back in there. Make sure you hook this crankcase vent hose up, because just as soon as you don't splash to a mud puddle, it'll go in the motor. So make sure you hook that crankcase vent up. Had a boy helping me one time, and that's about the only thing I ever had to check back on his work, to make sure he hooked that up, because he would forget it pretty regular. So, but as long as I was looking, everything was good. So slide that back in, slide all your boots back on, tighten your clamps up, and should be good to go. All right, guys, thank y'all for checking the video out. Hit the like button and subscribe. Hopefully I'll get a few more videos out here. I've got a few little random things I'm working on. I've been doing some full body off restorations on a couple 4-wheelers, and I figured y'all didn't want to watch that, so I didn't video those. I've got a couple other things I'm working on. I'm still working on my flatbed truck project. Got the engine block over there painted up, and kind of working on it a little bit as I go. And got a couple dirt bikes coming in that I got to do a little bit of maintenance on. If I got something on them that I don't see many videos on on YouTube, I may stick them on there too. So y'all just keep watching. My subscriber count's slowly going up, and I think I've still got some diehard folks out there that just watch all my videos, and I appreciate the heck out of that. Actually, I appreciate all of you watching. So check out all my other videos. I'm gonna put this on the 350 Rancher playlist, so y'all check them out. If you got a 350 Rancher, might be able to help you out and fix something. Y'all have a good night.